In 1823, the United States Supreme Court ruled that indigenous people did not actually own the land. The court decision was based around a 500-year-old religious decree called the Doctrine of Discovery. It started with the Catholic Church going back to 1452 and 1493. In those years, the Pope issued papal bulls, which are official decrees that gave European kings the right to vanquish non-Christians and reduce their persons to perpetual slavery. It created the concept of terra nullius, or empty land. The church claimed that if a place wasn't occupied by Christians, it was essentially empty, even if millions of indigenous peoples were living there. In the 1823 case, Johnson v. McIntosh, Chief Justice John Marshall admitted that indigenous people were the rightful occupants of the land, but he argued that discovery gave European governments the absolute title to the land anyway. He literally wrote that the character and the religion of the inhabitants justified the theft, because in his words, indigenous people were savages and heathens. This meant that indigenous people could only sell the land to the United States and nobody else. This was effectively stripping them of their sovereignty. And this wasn't just about exploiting indigenous resources and land, it was about destroying indigenous cultures. By denying indigenous peoples the legal right to own the land, colonizers gave themselves permission to dismantle indigenous laws and religions, labeling them as uncivilized savages to justify replacing them with European systems. This legal framework paves the way for forced removals, land theft, and genocide. Under this Eurocentric system, indigenous nations had no property rights. So these religious decrees were used to justify the theft of millions of acres of land. And along with that, the so-called civilizing of indigenous peoples. This civilizing mission was used specifically to attack indigenous kinship systems and matriarchal structures. This was all about forcing Western patriarchal values and beliefs onto indigenous peoples. They used the logic built into the Doctrine of Discovery to kidnap Native children, to cut their hair, and to destroy Native American languages. It also meant the criminalization of indigenous lifeways and religions. That meant forcing Native people to give up their worldviews and to adopt Christianity. And the Doctrine of Discovery isn't a relic. This is the active foundation of property law here in the United States, Canada, and Australia. It's a 500-year-old loophole for colonization, land theft, and forced assimilation.